Today on the final Atomic Power Racing Hour of 2013, we travel back north to the Brockville Speedway, where sunny conditions have dried out the surface and sent teams scrambling to set their cars up for very different track conditions, grinding away and comparing notes to make sure their car runs as well as possible, all in an effort to dethrone the defending champ at one of his best tracks. It may be cold outside, but things are sure to heat up next on the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Welcome again to the Atomic Power Racing Hour, our final episode of 2013. My name is Rich Fleck, and I'll walk you through the action for the Go Nuclear Late Model Series here at the Brockville, Ontario Speedway, a beautiful quarter-mile facility that annually runs these Fall Nationals, a highly acclaimed event. And today, we're running in the afternoon. Very different for these race teams. There is a lot on the line, though. This is the final race for the Excel Tower Service North Series points, and with that, a champion's going to be crowned. But with this afternoon kind of coming in, it's sunny, it's windy, it's cold, and it's going to be very different for the teams to set up their race cars. For more on that, let's go over to the racetrack and our Greg Kellnan.
Thanks, Rich. Well, as you can see, this racing surface, very tacky. They've had a lot of rain here over the last week in Brockville, and track promoter Paul Kirkland has worked day and night to prepare this racing surface. But things will change. Yesterday afternoon, the small block modifieds ran 100 laps and laid a ton of rubber down. With the Go Nuclear late models running right after this afternoon's big block race, it'll be a similar situation. So although it's tacky right now, these drivers that are having a look know that the racing surface come feature time will be completely different. Tires will be on their mind. So this afternoon, the Go Nuclear late models will look to take a bite out of the beast to the east.
Well, thanks, Greg. You mentioned the Beast to the East. Such an appropriate name for this facility, especially here in the daytime. Modifieds on the racetrack, rubber being laid down, variable cloud cover. A lot goes into this race, but you take out all those, and it's still a tough quarter mile to get around, as we heard from the drivers earlier.
And it's a very abrasive track, hard on tires, so prep is important, and just getting the car to turn. The high banking, we're not used to racing on a lot of high bank tracks.
Lap traffic is a chore here because there tends to be one lane once it slicks off.
Coming out of turn 2 and going into turn 3, the cushion seems to fade off from guys going up from the pit lane onto the racetrack, so you gotta be careful getting into turn 3 especially.
How it bottlenecks coming into 1 makes it very tight. You can go too wide, but usually you're gonna get into the guy on the inside or the outside.
I mean, it's a little narrow coming out of turn 4. So you gotta work with that. And I mean, it's a small track. You get into bull ring racing.
Hot Labs had drivers like Shane Tenase in the 98 scrambling to gather information about the surface today. But so is current series point leader Dale Caswell, who's really hit his stride over the second half of the season.
We made some changes with our shocks, which was, a big change. I mean, a huge change. And, we went back to what we were running last year, and, we were picked right up where we left off.
Caswell can lock up the championship tonight with a strong run. AJ Kingsley is also a championship contender, though, and knows today's surface will be very different.
Completely. It's almost like you're going to be driving on asphalt later, so it's going to be a no-lifting type of show.
Charlie Sandercock was the winner the last time the series was at Brockville and also had a top 5 finish in his sprint car here yesterday. Will he be able to repeat his performance to end the year on a high note? Find out next on the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Want to win an onboard camera? How about a brand new tablet? Just visit the Go Nuclear Late Model Series Facebook page and find out how. While you're there, check out the upcoming schedule, the new line of merchandise, and much more. Just visit facebook.com/Go Nuclear Late Model Series.
If you care about quality, service, or pride of ownership, it's time to call Tanachi AV. Tanachi AV provides music and theater systems for the home that defy expectations and are a clear cut above those found in the mass market stores. including handcrafted opera loudspeakers, Unison research amplification from Italy, Integra home theater, and many more. Discover the difference at TanachiAV.com or visit us on Facebook.
The 2013 Go Nuclear Late Model Challenge Series is presented by Excel Tower Service, Peters Excavating, Atomic Chassis, Lias Racing Tire, American Racer, FX Caprera, Bilstein Shocks, Ed Carley Motorsports, BA Custom Headers, Finish Line Web Design, and Tenace Diversified. The Go Nuclear late model started off their final North Series event of the year with 3 8-lap qualifying heats, each taking the top 3 finishers to the feature redraw. A fan favorite to make the redraw is Adam Turner, who used to be a regular here at Brockville. But as he mentioned earlier, things will be very different in daytime conditions.
The biggest difference is just going to be, it's going to be nice visibility-wise. You're going to be able to see the lanes good. But the biggest deal is if the track is going to take rubber today, probably. They said it did yesterday. So the biggest difference is it's going to have lots of grip and it's going to be fast, and everybody's going to be wearing out tires and equipment.
At this event last year, Adam Turner and A.J. Kingsley both finished in the top 3. They're on the front row with Matt Vanderlinden and Phil Potts, row number 2. The third row has the 55 of Sam Hazelwood driving Mark Raynard's car, and the 12 of Kyle Sopaz, who won his heat here back in June. 8 laps ready to get underway. Turner gets the big jump, and we're racing off at turn number 4. Adam Turner shows the way into turn number 1. Here's Matt Vanderlinden in the 09 down at the bottom as A.J. Kingsley takes a peek back to the inside for the race lead. Field starts to fan out. Battle on right now for the 4th position as Kyle Sopaz is on the move. Sopaz started back in 6th. Remember, the top 3 make the redraw, and Sopaz wants to be a part of it. Goes up to the top of Phil Potts, a pair of drivers that run weekly at Brighton Speedway. Side by side, and how about the outside groove right now being utilized by the 12 of Kyle Sopaz. Sopaz comes in at today's 6th at Go Nuclear late model points. The 2 drivers just ahead of him in the standings are just ahead of him on the racetrack. A.J. Kingsley, the driver 4th in the standings, now utilizes the top of the racetrack and gets a big run on Turner for the race lead. Phil Potts back to make it a 4-car battle as Potts goes after Sopaz for the final transfer position into the redraw. Turner protects the bottom line right now out in front, this time coming around to halfway. And up on the top groove, A.J. Kingsley with a big move, and it'll take away the race lead. A.J. Kingsley out in front of the field as Turner gets a little loose entering turn number 1 and 2. Now Phil Potts on the aggression, looks to the top side, turn number 3. Turner's up there as well as Potts pinches the car in the number 29. Potts, a driver with 2 wins this year at the Brighton Speedway, those coming in the midsummer months. His best showing on tour this year, a runner-up at the Can-Am Motorsports Park. To the outside goes Potts for the runner-up position. Just 3 laps ago, he was in 4th outside of the redraw, but has found something on the top like A.J. Kingsley and Kyle Sopaz has done. Turner will go up there as well. The pole sitter now in jeopardy of falling out of the redraw and falling back to about the 10th starting position for today's feature. And while Turner tries to hold off Sopaz, A.J. Kingsley continues to dominate out in front of the field. After falling back on the opening laps, got back around Adam Turner on the top side of 3 and 4. That's where he goes this time. And we'll see the checkered flags here in heat race number 1. Second is Potts, and third at the line. Turner able to hold off Sopaz as Turner will keep himself in the redraw. Our first of 3 heats are complete for the Go Nuclear late models.
If you're enjoying these late models on the Atomic Power Racing Hour, you need to be there in person. The Go Nuclear Late Model Challenge Series is coming to a track near you with all the dirt-flinging, side-by-side racing, and bumper-to-bumper action that you can handle. Come see the cars and stars of the Atomic Power Racing Hour as they battle for bragging rights. It's not too early to start settling your race plans for next year as the 2014 season gets underway with a 2-day event at Mohawk International Raceway, April 26th and 27th. Don't miss it.
Finger Food Products is a family-owned and operated business and is the proud maker of original pizza logs. Finger Food Products has been providing the food industry with original pizza logs for more than 25 years. Original Pizza Logs can be found at major national food service distributors, your local food distributor, and regional grocery chains. Because Original Pizza Logs enhance pizzeria menus, they can be found at some of the largest and the smallest pizzeria chains in America.
Back on the Atomic Power Racing Hour, where Heat Race 2 for the Go Nuclear late models featured a host of Canadians, including the 25 of Greg Bellier, who spoke to us before the race about his late season success.
Our season was pretty good there. We started off slow, just like we typically do every year, and since then we've got our season together. Chubb won with our car over at Mohawk, another Go Nuclear race, and then we've kind of got it together since then. We've had 5 wins, 3 at Can-Am, 2 at Brighton, and 1 up at the pavement track up at Fourth of Downs. So that was pretty good. Finished second last time out to Dale Caswell in the Go Nuclear race. Started 15th. I was pretty happy with that. So we're coming here seeing if we can't do something today.
Brighton Speedway regulars have the first 4 starting positions with Corey Earl and Kelly Weiss on the front row. Brandon Moet and Greg Bellier, row number 2. Shane Tenace and Dave Barberstocker in row number 3, with Richie Riggs and David McDonald completing this 8-car field. 8 laps is underway out of turn number 4. Corey Earl on the bottom puts the hammer down, but Kelly Weiss on the outside will take the race lead away. Weiss in the number 77 has the top spot, and here comes Greg Bellier around the outside of Corey Earl as well. Dave Barberstock goes over the bank into the backstretch. He'll keep it going. We stay underneath green flag conditions. David McDonald with a big push in his number 97 off of turn number 4. He's battling right now for position number 4 with Brandon Moet. Moet keeps it steady in the middle of the racetrack, and McDonald peeks back up to the top, perhaps watching what happened in the last heat race, but he blows over the bank into turn number 3. Goes back, falls to 6th, now 7th, as he gets the car running in the correct direction. Richie Riggs able to scoot on by Dave Barberstock there as well. Back up front, the battle shaping up for the race lead. Greg Bellier's up on the top. Like AJ Kingsley in heat race number 1, the top side is prevailing, and Bellier has the race lead. You can see the track starting to slick up a little bit, but if you're up on the berm, still plenty of bike to be found. So Weiss back into spot number 2. Corey Earl holds down the third and final redraw position, and closing in quickly is Brandon Moet out of Brighton, Ontario. And the caution flag will fly as Richie Riggs comes around in turn number 2.
For more on the tricky setups being used today, here's Rich Fleck in the Tech Minute.
Well, the last time we were here at Brockville, we focused the Tech Minute on getting more drive in the back of the car. Today's the complete opposite. With sunny, windy conditions, run during the afternoon, and rubber possibly being laid down, these drivers want to tighten up their race car, at least when it slicks off. You know, in stock car racing, they go in for a pit stop. A pit crew member goes in the back window, makes a track bar adjustment, loosens or tightens up the race car. With the late models, they do it the old-fashioned way. Take a look at what Greg Bellier is doing underneath the race car. He goes underneath the car just a minute ago and makes adjustments underneath the race car. Right now, trying to take a little steer out of the back end of the car so that it can drive as straight as possible off the corner and get down the straightaway a little bit quicker. The field now set to refire with 4 laps complete. Greg Bellier selects the outside lane for the restart, and that appears to pay off as he rumbles into turn number 1 with a healthy advantage. Weiss falls in the line in second, battle on for third. Brandon Moet takes it away from Corey Earl. Earl, again, the pole sitter and 4-time winner this year at the Brighton Speedway, making his first trip away from his hometown racetrack here in 2013, is now outside of the redraw looking in with just 3 laps left to go. David McDonald goes to the inside of Corey Earl, unable to get by, as Earl begins to reel in the 46 once again. Moet, a young driver who has had very bad luck at the Brockville Speedway his last 2 times here, could get a big benefit if he can make it into the redraw here today. Shane Tenace trying to reel back in David McDonald, but that's for position number 5 as they're coming around to the white flag. Greg Bellier, the race leader. Corey Earl closing in on Brandon Moet for that final transfer spot into the redraw. Bellier, though, who took the lead just before halfway, setting sail on the rest of the field, and through turns 3 and 4, he will comfortably score the heat race win. Second to the line is going to be Weiss. Third back to the stripe, but Corey Earl will get back by Brandon Moet to steal the final redraw position away from the driver of the number 46. A wild finish to conclude heat race number 2 for the Go Nuclear late models.
The final heat race for the Go Nuclear late models featured the top 3 in series points, including pole sitter Charlie Sandercock in the 57, who won here at Brockville back in June and talked to us about that wild night earlier.
I didn't realize how big of a race that was till I watched the show on Time Warner there. And I saw Dale a couple times, I saw Chubb a couple times, but I didn't realize they were right there all the time. And we were in a borrowed car that night. When we first got in, we thought we were going to have a handful for the whole night. We made a few changes, and it worked out good. And it was a good race, and it was a real cool feeling around with those guys and be able to win.
Charlie Sandercock will share the front row with Mike Trapp in the number 70. Row number 2 has the 13 of Harry Halliday, 33X of Rapid Rick Miller. Point leader Dale Caswell and Joe Banks are in row number 2 with Brian Down rounding out this 7-car field. And Green is out off of turn number 4. And quickly, Charlie Sandercock shoots into the race lead in the number 57. Battle on for position number 2. Mike Trapp in the 70 was in danger of losing that spot. Now goes after Sandercock for the race lead. Peaks down to the bottom, and Rick Miller's there as well in the 33X. Miller right through the middle of the racetrack, gets around Trapp, and now goes after Sandercock for the race lead. The top's been the place to be so far in heat race action, but Rick Miller has found something in the middle groove in the 33X. Miller, a driver with 8 wins this season at 5 different racetracks, chasing down Sandercock, who has 7 wins this year at 3 different racetracks, including the one right here at Brockville back in June. But Sandercock slips up high. Miller into the race lead, and here comes Mike Trapp for second. Trapp, the veteran out of the North Country in New York, battling with Sandercock, who gets very loose off at turn number 4, but is able to keep it right in the direction. One driver outside of the redraw right now, sitting in 4th, is Dale Caswell in the R19. Caswell closing in on Mike Trapp in the 70 for the 3rd and final redraw position. Caswell won this race last year despite not making the redraw after mechanical issues in his heat race. But with championship implications so high entering today, a slip up like this could be a big deal, especially with the 2 drivers closest to him in the standings right in front of him in the racetrack in Miller and Sandercock. Just 3 more laps left to go, and still Caswell unable to reel in those 3 very strong competitors. Mike Trapp's been doing a great job in the number 70, as he has done in the past on slick tracks. Caution is out, a car around over the banking at turn number 2. It's Harry Halliday in the 13T, who was running in 5th place. That's where he finished here earlier this year.
While under the caution, second place Charlie Sandercock slipped into the pits and would be done for the night.
Just 2 more laps left to go. A big break for Dale Caswell with Charlie Sandercock falling out. He's now in a redraw spot, but with this double file restart, Joe Banks is up on the outside as Miller leads the field back to green in the 33X. Trapp falls into line in second, and here's Joe Banks in the 75. Banks, a driver doing both modified and late model racing this year, gets around Caswell and is now going after Trapp for second, up on the top of the race surface. A lot of drivers expected the bottom group to come in a little bit earlier than it has, and with 1 more lap left to go, Caswell tries to fight back to the inside on Banks. He's unable to do it. Car's too loose, and Banks able to drive away. Rick Miller is going to be able to cruise off of turn number 4 and score the heat race win. Trapp's going to qualify as well. Back to the straight for 3rd. Caswell shuts down. Caswell with a problem. Harry Halliday nearly gets in the back of him. The point leader with major problems on the final lap.
More from Brockville coming up next on the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Let's fire them up and head to the National Parts Peddler Racers Auction and Trade Show. It's at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse. This is Joe Morata, the voice of the National Parts Peddler Trade Show and Auction. It's the kickoff for next year's racing season. Thousands of racers, mechanics, car owners will be there. You'll find something for anything to do with motorsport. Circle track, road track, racing, drag racing, and go-kart. Be there at the National Parts Peddler Racers Auction and Trade Show. The best opportunity for dealers and manufacturers. Be part of the huge Northeast racing market. It's all there at the National Parts Peddler Racers Auction and Trade Show. Be there.
Electricity. You flip a switch, the lights go on. But will we have safe supplies of electricity to meet our fast-growing needs? Today, nuclear energy provides 1/5 of America's electricity. Tomorrow, it could supply even more. And nuclear power plants don't emit greenhouse gases, so they preserve our environment. We need to reduce our dependence on foreign energy. And we also need clean air. With nuclear energy, we can do both. Nuclear, putting clean air energy to work.
Intermission at the Brockville Speedway was a welcome break for drivers like Dale Caswell, who struggled in his heat race when his R19 shut down after the bolt-on weight from his car shifted and pinched off the wiring. Things were less hectic for the winners of each qualifier, who reflected on their runs.
The car was working really good, started getting loose at the end, and that's what we were really hoping for when the track takes rubber after the modified. So just throwing on our Hoosier tires and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, we were pretty good there. We got a little bit of a break on the initial start. Kaylee got around the 11-car Coriero, and then we were able to get up beside her and pass her on the outside. We had that one restart and started on the outside, and we were pretty fast, so we were pretty happy.
Well, the car looked good. It felt good. So we're planning on the track changing. It's going to continue to get slick, and then I've talked to some of the locals. They say it's slick, it lays rubber, so that's going to come into play, so I got to really make a decision here.
Charlie Sandercock, who pulled off the track during Heat 3, got back to the pits to discover he'd hurt the engine on his number 57. But with the encouragement of AJ Kingsley, he sought out car owner Shane Tenace looking for a ride to rent.
Well, you know But if you win with another borrowed car, I'm going to be angry as hell.
I'm liking the odds. So the interesting thing about this particular deal with Charlie Sandercock taking the 32 ride is that he and Rick Miller are in a tight points battle, not just for the Northern Series championship, but Northern Series points, but also in the overall series points. So here we have, and this is what I like about our particular group, Charlie Sandercock is going to be taking the number 32 Atomic chassis from me because I like him, and he's going to go out and see what she can do. Last time he used a borrowed car, it didn't work out well for me because he won. We'll see how it works out this time.
Let's hope it works out the same way.
Give me some.
So with a new ride for the race and a chance to repeat at Brockville still alive, Charlie's spirits quickly perked up as he and his crew quickly began to survey the car, making whatever changes they could make to get the car comfortable for him for the 35-lap feature coming up next. As the Go Nuclear late models made their way onto the quarter-mile track for the 35-lap feature, they discovered a very different race surface than what they saw in the heats. For more on changing track conditions, here's Greg Calnan, who filed this report just before the cars hit the track.
As expected, this track is rubbered down and rock hard, as you can see. Lots of rubber put down throughout the racing afternoon, and now it's time for the Go Nuclear Late Model Series to take to this track. It'll all be about tire management and tire selection. If you pick the right tire, and if you're the one driver that can work the throttle the best, you can find yourself in victory lane. This lane right here is where they'll want to plant the right rear and the left rear tires. They may have to consider going down to the bottom side where there is still a little tiny bit of tack. But it's going to be interesting here this afternoon. 35 laps for the Go Nuclear Late Model Series.
A three-wide salute brought the crowd to their feet in anticipation for the 35-lap feature for what's believed to be the final dirt race of the year in Canada, and with the temperatures around freezing, you can understand why. Heat race winners Greg Bellier in the 25 and the 9K of AJ Kingsley carried onboard cameras for us, showcasing some wild views from within the heat of battle as they fan back out into double file formation and get ready to go green in one more lap. With Charlie Sandercock taking over command of Richie Riggs' entry for the day, 20 cars will make up the field. And with double file restarts until halfway, mayhem is certain for drivers, sheet metal, and with today's conditions, tires. How will it play out? For the starting lineup and the call, here's Rich Fleck.
Field set to get the green flag this time by. Here's the way they're going to go. Corey Earl and Adam Turner on the front row. A.J. Kingsley and Phil Potts in row number 2. Third row, Greg Bellier and the 33X of Rick Miller. Miller looking to go back after the series point lead because Dale Caswell, starting back in 9th, will have some work to do on a track that is sure to be tough to pass on. Some other big names starting towards the back, like Charlie Sandercock from the 19th position after taking over the reins of the so-dubbed Batmobile. Green flag ready to come out of turn number 4. The field tightens up. Off the corner. We are underway here at Brockville for the Go Nuclear Late Models. Adam Turner jumps into the race lead, but Corey Earl's hard back to the inside. Side by side, they range down the backstretch. Earl nudges ahead just a little bit. 3-wide battle back in the pack. Rick Miller goes over the bank into turn number 4. And that advantage Miller had in starting position is totally given up now as the 2-time winner on tour this season is shuffled back to about 15th. A spin right in front of him. Weiss, Tenace, Barberstock, and a host of others come around, and caution is out here with 1 lap complete. You see Charlie Sandercock able to scoot by. Brandon Moat turned around in the 46.
A look at the replay shows the 77 of Weiss getting loose entering the corner in turn 1 and collecting much of the field behind her. Weiss was in the top 10 at the time of the incident, so those in the back of the pack had to scramble hard to avoid the blockade. As you can see, all drivers involved were able to navigate by without major damage, and since 6 cars officially stopped on the track, their penalty of going to the back was far less severe since. As for the drivers at the front of the pack, the initial start gave them an opportunity to survey the track and their competition in an effort to advance towards the front, which could be very difficult on a dry racetrack.
So as the field lines back up double file, a new dancing partner for pole sitter Corey Earl as the 29 of Phil Potts goes to the outside. Potts came in today 5th in North Series points, could get as high as 2nd, and this would be a big way to do it, but he really cooks the tires off of turn number 4, spins the wheels, and allows Corey Earl to drive away. Potts now playing defense off of turn number 2 to hold off Bellier and Turner. Greg Bellier, one of his buddies, speaks to the outside, the number 25, and makes a nice roll on the top of the racetrack. Everybody else hanging out down towards the bottom, Bellier right up towards the wall. Still unable to get by the 29 as of yet, though. Pair of drivers that have dueled against each other for many years in this division continue to go side by side. Bellier just unable to clear entering the corner, and again gets up near the wall on the front stretch. Good tight battling all the way through this dense field. None better, though, for the runner-up spot. On the outside, Greg Bellier gets even with the 29. Again, though, Potts sticks true to the bottom and gets a great launch off the inside rail, right about where the final tractor tire is, and is able to get back into 2nd. The top 3 have broken away from everybody else. Bellier again stays to the top of the racetrack, but the spot he's really struggling with is off of turn number 4. Spins the wheels a little bit more than he would want, and that is thwarting his advance forward. Catching the lead group is Dale Caswell. Caswell started back in 9th. He is up to 4th and looking over the race leaders. A little bit further back, A.J. Kingsley and Kyle Sopaz, along with the 09 of Matt Vanderlinden, battle side by side. And we've got a side-by-side battle for 3rd. Down to the inside goes Dale Caswell. Gets the launch off the inside rail, and as much as Bellier's been fighting at the top of the racetrack to carve out a new line, the inside rail the place to be. Caswell up to 3rd. Caswell shuts it on the binders, down to the inside of the racetrack. Bellier seems content, though, to run up on the top, perhaps using a different tire compound and trying to build up some heat for later in the run. You'd expect most of the drivers to run a hard compound tire today, but there were many different choices being utilized. Dale Caswell now up to 3rd. His 2 closest competitors in the point standings are well back. The 33X of Rick Miller, who went over the back in lap number 1, and the 57 of Charlie Sandercock, who had to start in the back. He's carving his way forward, still with 25 laps left to go, but is not near the top 10 as of yet. Corey Earl remains the race leader, and he's going to be coming up on lap traffic very shortly. Potts and Caswell stay close in tow as the 25 of Greg Bellier has now lost 4th to Adam Turner. So the bottom line, really the place to be right now as A.J. Kingsley looks underneath the 25 of Bellier for position number 5. You have to wonder how much tire Bellier has given up. Here comes Kingsley down to the inside and completes the pass. And here comes Matt Vanderlinden in the 09. And the caution flag is out. Brian down in the 88 has spun around here with 11 laps complete. And for the second time, we are under yellow.
The replay indicates that the 88 may have had assistance in his spin, particularly from the black 6 of Dave Barberstock, who appeared to get into the back of down entering the corner, sending him around.
With the bottom line prevailing thus far, you have to wonder if second place Phil Potts in the 29 would rather be starting directly behind Corey Earl than next to him. Dale Caswell's in that prime position though. He's in third and now makes the challenge for second on the restart. Dale Caswell goes to the inside, side by side with Phil Potts. We got a crash though. Matt Vanderlinden over the barrier to the inside, and we've got a traffic jam in turn number 1. Caution is out, and they're actually going to bring the red flag out now as turn number 1 is totally blocked.
Take a look on this replay at the 92 of Adam Turner, who appears to cross down to the bottom lane on the front stretch, slowing up A.J. Kingsley, and as you can see, setting off a chain reaction behind him that would block the track and damage a host of cars, including the 09 of Matt Vanderlinden, who actually jumped the inner barrier and appeared to suffer terminal damage. But he wouldn't let that slow him down. After getting out of the car to survey the scene, he told the track workers to just help him fire back off and he'd make it back out for the next restart. It's coming up right after this. You're watching the Atomic Power Racing Hour, where the incident on lap 12 collected nearly half the field but knocked out just one competitor, Mike Trapp in the number 70. And you can see why, as much of the left rear is missing from his car in this final race of the season. With 13 laps complete in the 35-lap event, Corey Earl continued to pace the field, but another double file restart would bunch up all of his competition once again for the 4th restart of the race.
Field bunched up once again for the restart. Phil Potts looking for a quality restart on the outside. Perhaps he can take the lead and hold off for his first career Go Nuclear Late Model Tour win. Gets a little surge through 3 and 4, but had to wait for Corey Earl to get on the loud hammer. And Corey Earl in the 11 will jump back into the race lead. Here comes Caswell for position number 2. Down on the bottom, they work on to the backstretch. Battle shaping up for the race lead. Potts peeks to the outside, similar maneuver that Craig Bellier utilized earlier. Meanwhile, contact for 4th. A.J. Kingsley uses the muscle to get by Adam Turner, who also will lose 5th to Greg Bellier. And Turner could lose more than that. Rick Miller around the outside, drives around everybody up into 6th. Harry Halliday makes contact, it'll spin around in the 13T. Caution will fly once again as Halliday had peeked to the inside of Adam Turner and comes around to draw the yellow.
When taking another look, you can see Adam Turner in the 92 make contact with the right front of the 13, which was just enough to get Halliday spinning and draw the 4th caution of the feature event.
Well, Dale Caswell able to get by Phil Potts on that last restart, now on the outside of the front row. Mentioned earlier that it might be an advantage to be where Potts is. Second in line on the inside row. A couple other drivers were able to move up on that last restart, like A.J. Kingsley and Rick Miller. They're on the outside of rows 2 and 3. As we get ready to go back to green, you got Americans on the outside 3 rows, Canadians on the inside 3 rows, and the green flag is out. And Corey Earl will jump back out in the race lead. Right behind Dale Caswell is Phil Potts, and look at A.J. Kingsley on the outside. Kingsley makes a big move and goes side by side for second. Just a few laps ago, he was back in about 8th place, but really is finding something on the outside that very few are. Phil Potts now falls back into position number 4. Battle shapes up behind them for 5th. Here comes Bellier back to the inside, giving up the top line that he was using for much of the first half of this race. Rick Miller, he's been working well on the top of the racetrack. Somebody that loves to ride up on the rim. That's how he won races earlier this year at Humberstone and Utica Rome. We've got one car over the bank in turn number 2. It's Matt Vanderlinden. He continues to roll. The caution's not out as of yet. Yes, it is now. Matt Vanderlinden will draw the yellow here just shy of halfway. And that slows some great battles that were going on. Bellier and Miller were really shaking it out for 5th. A.J. Kingsley now gets to 3rd by Phil Potts. But they will have another restart to deal with after Vanderlinden is cleared and we are ready to go back to green.
On the ensuing restart, it was clear that the field still had yellow fever. Brandon Moat spun, and among those collected was Adam Turner, who had avoided damage up until this point, but had used up all his luck and would be done for the day. As the field had slowed for the yellow, Dale Caswell and Phil Potts came together near the front of the pack. Potts would get his spot back, but the real problem was with the point leader, who developed a fender rub on his right rear tire after bending up the sheet metal in the incident, while A.J. Kingsley had a fender rub on the left rear.
Well, the field ready to go back to green, and it looks like a single file restart will be utilized. That's a good break for Dale Caswell, as the outside groove really not the place to be so far today. He runs in position number 2, coming back to life, and we are underway. Caswell chasing after Corey Earl for the win. And a good battle on for 5th. Rick Miller went to the inside of Greg Bellier. Bellier found some bite on the outside of turn number 2. He'll join in on Kingsley and Potts for 3rd. And like we saw on lap number 4 and 5, when Potts and Bellier were battling for 2nd and 3rd, again, the 29 on the inside, Bellier to the top, but they're behind A.J. Kingsley. Kingsley holding the middle groove down the backstretch, contact, and Kingsley will go around. A.J. Kingsley spun in turn number 3, looked like contact with Phil Potts in the 29. We're back under yellow, and a major turn of events for the driver out of Fulton, New York.
The replay clearly shows contact between Kingsley and Potts, but it appears that the nose of the 29 likely made contact with the left rear of the 9K, which would explain why Kingsley spun around so quickly. Greg Bellier was fortunate to avoid the incident and continue his march back towards the front, especially when you consider how quickly the 9K spun around. It's clear that the field narrowly escaped another pileup. Kingsley would be able to drive away, and while he does, we take one last break before we conclude the 35-lap feature right here on the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Electricity. You flip a switch, the lights go on. But will we have safe supplies of electricity to meet our fast-growing needs? Today, nuclear energy provides 1/5 of America's electricity. Tomorrow, it could supply even more. And nuclear power plants don't emit greenhouse gases, so they preserve our environment. We need to reduce our dependence on foreign energy. And we also need clean air. With nuclear energy, we can do both. Nuclear, putting clean air energy to work.
If you care about quality, service, or pride of ownership, it's time to call Tenachi AV. Tenachi AV provides music and theater systems for the home that defy expectations and are a clear cut above those found in the mass market stores, including handcrafted opera loudspeakers, Unison research amplification from Italy, Integra home theater, and many more. Discover the difference at tenachiav.com or visit us on Facebook.
Back on the Atomic Power Racing Hour, showcasing action for the Go Nuclear late models from the Northeast Fall Nationals at the Brockville, Ontario Speedway. Passing was at a premium all afternoon, but Greg Bellier was not content just to stay in line on the bottom. He began going to the top here on lap 18 after the first single file restart of the day. But that opened up the door for Phil Potts on the bottom in the 29. The battle for 2nd through 4th raged through turns 1 and 2 and stayed tight down the backstretch. But before the lap could be completed, the caution would fly once again for Matt Vanderlinden, whose battered 09 would finally suffer enough damage to knock him out of competition. As the field got set for the restart with 19 laps complete, it became apparent that runner-up Dale Caswell had a right rear tire going soft on the R19, likely caused from the fender rub he'd endured for the last 4 laps, putting his championship in peril.
So the field going green this time, and Caswell staying out on the racetrack with that flat right rear tire. should I say soft right rear tire, maybe could catch the break of a yellow. That is if he isn't one first. Corey Earl will lead the field back to green, and you can see as he stands on the gas, Caswell's tire going down quickly. Bellier goes to the inside. Here comes Potts and Miller. Miller goes up to third, and the bottom line is kind of shut down because Caswell has no forward bite without the right rear tire. Charlie Sandercock, there's a new name here in this feature as he is up at a position number 4. And for Dale Caswell, this is the worst situation possible. Trying to pick up the championship. The two drivers just behind him in the point standings were way in the back early on, and now they are both in front of him with just 15 laps left to go. Shane Tenase goes to get by, and I think Caswell's going to give up the ghost. Slows on the top of turn number 4. Has not come to a stop yet, and you wonder if he's trying to time the caution correctly. Gets by the line so he won't lose his lap. The field rumbles on by to put him a lap down. He has not come to a stop as of yet. And we're still under green flag conditions. Now comes to a stop, and now the caution flag will fly. And Caswell quickly darts into the pits, hoping that he did not lose a lap. It does not appear that he did.
Caswell had a long drive to get back to the pits to swap out the tire, jeopardizing his chance of staying on the lead lap.
So the field ready to go back to green, and still no sign of Dale Caswell. Here he comes out of the pits now. Caswell will stay on the lead lap here in the waning portions of this feature event. Green is out, back underway, and Greg Bellier now up into second. He had been challenging for that spot for so long, and he's going for the race lead. Going after Corey Earl, a pair of drivers with multiple victories at the Brighton Speedway over the last few years. Up to the top goes Bellier. Earl will be able to hold him off with 11 to go. Corey Earl goes back to the bottom to protect. Bellier has found something now on the bottom groove after using the top for so many laps, but boy, he looked good on that restart as well. Earl begins to stretch out his advantage once again as there are just 10 more laps left to go. But Bellier really has come to life. The drivers just behind him are also turning in some good runs as Rick Miller and Charlie Sandercock are battling it out for position number 3. Phil Potts has faded back into the 5th spot, and those 5 have really broken away from the rest of the field. The laps continue to click off. Rick Miller closing in on Greg Bellier for position number 2 in a spin. Sandercock comes around. Potts and Sopaz collected, and Charlie Sandercock's great run in a backup ride may all have gone away. Heavy contact between those 3 Canadians in turn number 2.
The camera caught the very beginning of Sandercock's spin as the 57 appeared to simply just come around before blocking the track for Potts, Sopaz, and Mowat.
Well, it seems like the curse of 3rd or 4th place anytime anybody gets up there. Trouble has found them. As we get ready to go back to green, only 2 drivers, the top 2, have been free of incident here today. Corey Earl able to drive away into turn number 1, but here comes Bellier up on the top side, gets some momentum built up, and is side by side with the leader going into turn number 3. Bellier actually surges ahead of the 25, but now slips up off of turn number 4, and Earl will take the lead once again. So 2 restarts in a row. Greg Bellier on the charge on the restart. Corey Earl, the keys holding him off. It looks like the bottom line prevails so long as they hold him off on the restart. How about Brandon Mowat, the 46, up into position number 4, going after Rick Miller for 3rd. It would be a career high finish for him on the Go Nuclear Late Model Tour. And Mowat peaks down to the bottom off of turn number 2. Rick Miller looking for a big points night to close in on Dale Caswell, who has been trying to work his way back up through the pack, but thus far has been unable to crack back in the top 10. A good battle is developing for the 6th position. Callie Weiss has it right now, and on the charge is AJ Kingsley after being spun out a few laps ago. He goes to the inside and makes contact with Weiss. Potts will come around as well, and Tenase and Sopaz also get spun as we are back under yellow once again, now with just 4 laps remaining in today's feature.
It's clear that Kingsley got into the side of Weiss's number 77. What's unclear, though, is what elicited the contact. Kingsley clearly was making an attempt to pass, but it's hard to tell whether Weiss came down to the bottom groove or not. Both drivers, along with Phil Potts, have been involved in multiple incidents already in the feature and once again find themselves at the back, this time with just 4 laps to go.
Well, that caution's probably the last thing Corey Earl wanted to see. And you can see Greg Bellier shows a little bit of gamesmanship up next to Earl, waving his hand. And maybe waving at the rest of the field saying, come on, let's get this thing right. But if I'm Greg Bellier, I want as many restarts as I possibly can. That's been about the only point he has been able to challenge Corey Earl for the race lead. Rick Miller still runs in third. Brandon Moet just behind him has been making some nice challenges in position number 4. One driver that really benefited from that yellow flag, Dale Caswell, jumped up 4 spots, getting around the cars that had spun. Ready to go back green, 4 more laps. And Greg Bellier's hard on the charge. Goes up to the top of the racetrack. Miller looks to the inside. But again, Bellier with the big run on the outside. He's been so good off of turn number 2. Now let's see what he can do entering turn number 3 side by side. Up on the top side. He's right there, but off the corner, Earl still is out in front, but not by much. Bellier crosses over, goes to the inside. He was hoping that Earl was playing the defense off the top of turn number 2. No such luck. And again, the 11 is out in front. Coming around this time, the parallel sticks are going to be in the air. 2 more laps left to go. Here comes Rick Miller. Rapid Rick is closing in on Bellier for a battle for second. Moet's there as well. A 4-car scramble with the white flag and pending this time by. Final trip around, set up to go for Corey Earl, who is starting to stretch out his advantage. Bellier giving it everything he has, and Rick Miller might even take second away here on this final circuit. But it's all Corey Earl out in front of the field. He barely made the redraw on a final lap pass in his heat race, drew the pole, and led all 35 laps. He gets the double checkered flags here today. Bellier barely holds off Miller at the line. Moet and Halliday will complete the top 5 in a wild feature here at Brockville.
We'll hear from the top 3 right after this.
Planning a trip to Victory Lane? Let Atomic Chassis get you there. Atomic Chassis are built with a high attention to detail using superior parts from trusted manufacturers such as BPM, Winters, Bernheisel, Bilstein, All-Star Performance, Vulcan, and many more. With superior craftsmanship and materials, you know Atomic will last. And since each customer becomes a part of our family, you aren't treated like just another number. So visit AtomicChassis.com today to plan your next trip to Victory Lane.
If you're enjoying these late models on the Atomic Power Racing Hour, you need to be there in person. The Go Nuclear Late Model Challenge Series is coming to a track near you with all the dirt-flinging, side-by-side racing, and bumper-to-bumper action that you can handle. Come see the cars and stars of the Atomic Power Racing Hour as they battle for bragging rights. It's not too early to start settling your race plans for next year as the 2014 season gets underway with a 2-day event at Mohawk International Raceway, April 26th and 27th. Don't miss it. The Go Nuclear Late Model Series had a new feature winner today at Brockville in Corey Earl. Earl led all 35 laps, outlasting Greg Bellier's many challenges on late race restarts to end the season on a high note. He had not run a race anywhere but his hometown track of Brighton Speedway in 2013, but gets the checkered flag, and our Rich Fleck has caught up with him.
Corey Earl picks up the win here today at Brockville. It's got to feel awesome.
Feels real good. This is an awesome run. It was a great track, and we were glad to be out here.
You had Greg Bellier show the 25 to the outside, though, on multiple restarts. What was that like?
Yeah, a couple times getting near the end there, I saw Greg stick his nose up there on a couple of the restarts. I knew I had the faster line, and my car was real good on the bottom, so I just had to wait him out and keep my line going, and we'd get by him again.
Were you concerned at all on tire wear?
I wasn't too concerned on tire wear. We were taking it pretty good and easy along the bottom. I was starting to worry about fuel there with all those cautions we were having, but no, as far as tires, I bet you we got lots left on them.
But I tell you what, you come out here, you run Brighton weekly, to go to a different racetrack and pick up a win, it's got to feel awesome.
Oh, it definitely feels awesome. We had a bit of a crappy end to our season at Brighton. It was a little heartbreaking for our team, so this was a real good pick-me-up to go into the end of the season.
And Corey Earl shows why. He was the 2012 Brighton Speedway champion, picks up the win here just down the road at Brockville.
Corey Earl becomes the 5th different winner of a Go Nuclear Late Model Series race in 2013. Greg Bellier ran a clean race to finish 2nd after starting 5th, narrowly holding off Rick Miller at the line. A strong run was turned in by Brendan Moat in 4th, just ahead of Harry Halliday, who finished 5th for the 2nd time this year at Brockville. Shane Tenayes came across just ahead of championship contenders A.J. Kingsley and Dale Caswell. Charlie Sandercock used a rental ride to finish in 9th, but had it not been for his late spin, would have fared far better. Phil Potts was another driver to spend time in the top 5, running as far up as 2nd before getting collected in 2 late incidents to fall back to finish in 12th. It was not a day that these drivers want to remember, especially Matt Vanderlinden and Adam Turner, who were each involved in at least 3 incidents at a track they typically fare well at. One Canadian that usually doesn't fare well at Brockville but did today is runner-up Greg Bellier, who's standing by with Rich Fleck.
2nd place for Greg Bellier, and you were in that position last year here, but couldn't hang on to it, so at least you got that part down.
Yeah, we're pretty happy. I mean, it's a hard track to pass, and it was a tough run up there. Corey had the fastest car, and he was on the bottom, and we couldn't get under him without moving him, and I don't do that. So we had to settle for a 2nd. We tried awful hard on the outside, and we were pretty good through 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, we just couldn't get anybody coming off the corner.
You just had to kind of hope when you're side-by-side going into 3 and 4 that he slips up a little bit, right?
Well, that's what we were banking on, and I mean, it's awful tempting with a couple laps to go that sheet metal flies, but it's just not the way we do it. Corey doesn't do that to me, so I don't do it to him.
Greg Bellier didn't have the sheet metal fly, one of 2 drivers to keep all 4 fenders clean on the car, comes home in 2nd.
Here's a look back at just some of the exciting moments from today.
We are underway here at Brockville for the Go Nuclear Late Model. Turner, Greg Bellier, one of his buddies, peeks to the outside, the number 25, and makes a nice roll on the top of the racetrack. Everybody else hanging out down towards the bottom, battles side by side, and we've got a side-by-side battle for 3rd. Down to the inside goes Dale Caswell. Gets the launch off the inside rail, and as much as Bellier's been fighting on the top of the racetrack to carve out a new line, the inside rail, the place to be, Caswell up to 3rd. So Potts, we got a crash though. Matt Vanderlinden over the barrier to the inside, and we've got a traffic jam in turn number 1. Drives around everybody up into 6th. Harry Halliday makes contact, it'll spin around in the 13th tee. Kingsley holding the middle groove down the backstretch, contact, and Kingsley will go around. A.J. Kingsley spun in turn number 3. You can see as he stands on the gas, Caswell's tire going down quickly. Bellier goes to the inside. Here comes Potts and Miller. Miller goes up to 3rd, and he's going for the race lead. Going after Corey Earl, a pair of drivers with multiple victories at the Brighton Speedway over the last few years. Up to the top goes Bellier, and on the charge is A.J. Kingsley after being spun out a few laps ago. He goes to the inside and makes contact with Weiss. Potts will come around as well. It's so good off of turn number 2. Now let's see what he can do entering turn number 3 side by side. Up on the top side. He's right there at all 35 laps. He gets the double checkered flags here today. Bellier barely holds off Miller at the line. 3rd place for Rick Miller, and that's a good finish here at Brockville considering your past results, but it was not an easy way to get there.
No, not at all. We got in a little jingle early, got on the outside of AJ, and as he slid up, I had no place to go. I was off the throttle, and there was no, so I went to jump the bank, and I don't know where we dropped back to, but I knew it was going to be a battle, and we gambled on a tire setup, and I needed longer green flags. As the laps went on green, the car started coming around. So,
not a bad run, but it seemed like the car was good, better than others were on a track where it was very even today.
Yeah, that's what we were debating. You know, it took a lot because I've never run this compound before, and if you run those 56s, you got to run them all the way around the car. So I was a little hesitant, but we went with it, and. Like I said, if we would have had longer green flags, I think we would have done a little bit better.
But 3rd place nonetheless for Rick Miller. The 33X rounds out the podium here tonight at Brockville.
Before vacating victory lane, Greg Bellier made sure to give Corey Earl a few good ribbings. Maybe it's because Bellier ran him so clean. The completion of today's event also signifies the end of the 2013 season on the Atomic Power Racing Hour. Stay tuned to the websites over the winter as we get ready to bring you more great racing action like you witnessed today at Brockville.